Welcome to King 5 Plus. I'm Andy Judson. This is The Week, a look at what made headlines in our region, along with your weekend forecast. We've learned the identities of 2 teenagers killed in a shooting outside Seattle's Rainier Beach High School. It happened last week in broad daylight at a bus stop. As police continue searching for a suspect, the community is left to process a painful loss. King 5's Sebastian Robertson has more.
5 days after a shooting that killed 2 teenagers outside Rainier Beach High School, the memorial is growing and so are the emotions.
I mean, immediately I kind of knew that it was really serious when I seen the 2 kids laying outside the bus. I had a feeling that they were gone immediately.
Andrew Weems was on a King County Metro bus when a gunman opened fire.
The moment I realized something was up was when I heard a loud bang out of the right side, and then I looked forward and I seen the glass shatter right in front of me, and that's when I told my girlfriend to get down.
Weems was not injured, but would later learn that 2 high school-age students were struck by gunfire and killed. The medical examiner has identified them as 17-year-old Trevea Hoffmuse and 18-year-old Tyjon Stewart. In the days since the shooting, an outpouring of grief from the community.
Enough is enough. Today is the day that we don't do this just around tragedies. And so we've got to develop a strategy where the children know that we are here for them always, and not just when there's something traumatic.
Seattle police say a detective has been assigned to the case, but to date, there have been no arrests and no suspect description released. Despite the shooting happening in broad daylight at a bus stop with dozens of witnesses.
As far as everything goes, it's I still have flashbacks of it, and I think about it, how close it was. It more gives me that sense of, wow, I'm really grateful to be here with my girl and appreciate what I got.
While acknowledging this year is off to a concerning start, the police chief shared this week that Seattle just recorded its lowest homicide rate in more than 5 years. King 5's Natalie Swaby reports.
In 2025, we saw some improvements in response times, but it's not good enough.
Putting last year under a microscope, Chief Sean Barnes sees the potential and the progress. Homicides fell 36%.
21 fewer lives lost than the year before, and the lowest number of homicides since before the pandemic over 5 years ago.
But this public address is happening after a heartbreaking weekend. 2 teens shot and killed near Rainier Beach High School. And less than 48 hours later, a young man gunned down in Pioneer Square.
Their losses underscore the truth that we cannot ignore. Preventing gun violence requires all of us.
Barnes is urging police and prosecutors, courts, and the community to work in unison.
Do you believe that we should have officers in Seattle Public Schools?
I do. My position has not changed on school resource officers.
He's heard the pushback at community meetings.
When you want to talk to me about reducing police violence to our children, then talk to me about bringing them into schools. But in the meantime, don't bring them.
We haven't had school resource officers in our schools in over 5 years. So no student in the high school should even remember what it was like. And so they need to expand their thinking.
Barnes also highlights technology as a turning point, with analysts in the department's real-time crime center using more than 60 cameras across the city. Last year, it helped detectives who took on 37 homicide cases.
And then 10 of those cases have been solved because we caught something on the real-time crime center cameras.
Looking ahead, the department plans to deploy neighborhood resource officers in places like downtown and 12th and Jackson.
We know that there's always going to be room for improvement and more work to be done, and we're going to continue to do that.
In Seattle, Natalie Swaby, King 5 News.
Anti-ICE protesters took to Seattle streets last weekend. They started in Capitol Hill, then marched to the federal building downtown. Christian Balderas reports.
Easily over 1,000 anti-ICE protesters gathered in Seattle and ultimately made their way here to the federal building in downtown Seattle. This is not the first time we've seen a demonstration against ICE in front of this building with several hundred people gathering, but today's demonstration was exceptionally large.
Justice, no peace, no ICE on our streets.
Anti-ICE protesters shut down roads as they marched to the federal building.
Over 1,000 for sure, maybe a couple thousand.
Protesters started at Seattle Central College and Capitol Hill. Preschool teacher Bianca Morales was there.
Festivals here have not even been this crowded. Block party is not this crowded. Seattle
area educators organized today's protests, which soon grew to include demonstrations from across the city.
Nobody works harder than a classroom teacher.
One of the organizers, Juliana Double, teaches 8th grade science in the Renton School District. She says families are pulling out their kids, fearing ICE activity.
Students are just absent right now. I've had a couple of our newcomers to this country. They didn't come to school at all this week.
Multiple people held American flags upside down.
This is not disrespectful. It is the official sign of distress.
This comes just days after Seattle's new mayor, Katie Wilson, issued several executive orders aimed at blocking ICE from using any city property for enforcement and directing police to investigate any reports of ICE activity within Seattle.
I think it's a start.
Morales, the Mexican-American, hopes the mayor rises to the occasion. She says her stepfather self-deported after ICE agents shot and killed Alex Peretti in Minnesota.
I do feel a little scared, questioning whether or not I should be carrying around my passport. Trying to think about whether or not it's safe enough to commute in to work anymore on the ferry.
And many protesters today talking about the death of Renee Good and Alex Peretti in Minnesota. Many people telling us that they fear that they'll see something similar here in Seattle. And of course, the mayor, Katie Wilson, and her administration preparing for the possibility of things escalating. In Seattle, I'm Christian Balderas, King 5 News.
3 men detained at the Northwest ICE Processing Center in Tacoma are suing the private company that runs the facility. As King 5's immigration reporter Sharon Yu reports, the men are accusing officials of sexual assault, violent beatings, and a systemic cover-up.
This lawsuit filed Wednesday in Pierce County Superior Court names Geo Group and 2 guards specifically. All 3 plaintiffs are black men who say they were attacked while in ICE custody and that their complaints went nowhere. One man, identified only by his initials RT, alleged a guard sexually groped him during a routine pat-down. He says a guard forced his hand into his pants and groped him, wrapping his hand directly around RT's genitals. Another detainee says guards attacked him after he asked to use a computer to access his immigration documents. He alleges he was pinned at his neck and struck repeatedly and denied medical care afterwards. The third plaintiff says he was slammed face first into the floor, kneed while handcuffed and placed in solitary confinement after complaining about the guard's behavior. King 5 spoke to him in April of 2025 about what happened, which led to this week's lawsuit.
That's when they take the opportunity to rough me up, slam, and I took a knee trying to de-escalate the situation. As I tried to take myself down, they slammed me to the floor. I was already in cuffs, handcuffed behind my back, my legs are shackled. Then all of a sudden, another officer kneed me in my right side of my ribs.
The lawsuit accuses Geo Group of conducting sham investigations and says Tacoma police repeatedly deferred abuse complaints back to the company instead of investigating it themselves. Lack of TPD response is what the University of Washington Center for Human Rights revealed in April as well.
To be clear, they do have jurisdiction over this.
They do. They did not deny that they have jurisdiction over this facility, even though their officers are denying it routinely in response to calls for help.
We have reached out to Geo Group as well as Tacoma Police for comment on this new lawsuit, but have not heard back. In the newsroom, Sharon Yu, King 5 News.
The University of Washington is now requiring mandatory civil rights trainings for all students and staff. It comes after a federal investigation found the school failed to adequately respond to widespread anti-Semitism. King 5's Christian Balderas is near the campus with why this is happening now and how students are reacting.
This all comes after the federal government and the University of Washington reached an agreement last year, all while under pressure from the president, who threatened to take away federal funding. Now the terms are taking effect. All staff at the University of Washington have to take this civil rights training by the end of March.
Civil rights at the University of Washington.
Students have to complete their course by the end of May.
I've heard of it in one of my classes. Harvard is doing that right now.
A lot of students say they didn't know about it.
I didn't know it was happening here.
This is our first time ever hearing about it. We haven't gotten any emails about it whatsoever.
The training comes after Gaza anti-war protests took place at the University of Washington and across the nation. The Biden administration investigated more than 60 universities for reported anti-Semitism, oversight that intensified when President Trump threatened to cut federal funding. Now federal investigators say they reviewed 140 incidents at UW and found the university generally declined to take responsive action and had no university-wide tracking system.
The university simply did not address the specific incident.
The Brandeis Center is a legal organization focused on anti-Semitism. It filed a separate civil complaint against UW.
I certainly think that the actions and the aggressive stance that the Trump administration has taken with regards to anti-Semitism, in particular at universities, has been a wake-up call for universities.
The university denies any wrongdoing or liability, but created a new civil rights office and implemented a new civil rights training. But how effective will it be?
I don't know if everyone's really gonna take it seriously. Like how she said, everyone might just ChatGPT the answers, just to go through it quickly.
There are ongoing federal investigations into anti-Semitism at other universities. Just this week, the president threatened Harvard, demanding that it pay $1 billion to settle its federal investigation. In Seattle, I'm Christian Balderas, King 5 News.
When we come back, Super Bowl Sunday is nearly here. We captured Seahawks hype from fans who made the trip to California. But first, meteorologist Adam Claiborne has a look at the weekend forecast right after this.
Hey there everyone, happy Super Bowl weekend. I'm King 5 meteorologist Adam Claiborne. Here we go. We're expecting to see a pretty decent forecast ahead for the Patriots and Seahawks as they get ready to match up down at Santa Clara, which that forecast is looking to stay dry. We're going to go over that forecast here in a bit, but things will be changing for us after more of a dry stretch where it's been kind of spring-like. Wetter weather as well as cooler weather on the way heading on into Saturday and Sunday, and cool enough that we could be talking about some low enough snow levels to get some of that snow closer to pass level. But first, let's talk about Santa Clara down into California. And this is Friday evening. You can see the clear blue skies that they saw on Friday. Expecting that to kind of stick around for the game. Again, we're expecting to see more cloud coverage as we head on into more of Sunday afternoon, but there could be some sunbreaks down there. Kickoff is going to be at 3:30. No big impacts as far as weather is concerned, though, for the game. Now, your forecast for us is going to be a bit of a different story. We expect to see a bit more of that rain in the picture for us, especially throughout the day tomorrow. That's looking to be the wettest day here of the week. We also have a chance of rain heading into Sunday. There are a few spots that have higher chances than others. We'll show you exactly where those are here coming up in a bit. And then we have a couple of dry days, too. It looks like Tuesday and Wednesday, if you are looking for those dry times, look to be more of those days. Now here's radar, and definitely can tell there's not a whole lot really happening as of yet. The rain is coming and making its way in onto areas here closer to the coast as we go throughout more of late Friday night and into early Saturday. And as that continues to work its way in, you can see that moving on through here as we go throughout the day on Saturday. So we'll pick that up at about 6 o'clock in the morning. Definitely seeing more of those showers as we go throughout the remainder of the morning on Saturday, and continuing to see some steady and some pretty heavy rain too at times heading into Saturday afternoon. That's at about noon right there for you on Saturday. We'll keep that going, and you'll see that most of that rain will begin to pivot its way off towards the east as we head on into the evening hours, at least on the back edge of this main band as we head on into more of Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening. And then up across the mountains, too, maybe starting to see snow levels come down enough that we'll get a few snowflakes up around either Stevens or White Pass. I think Snoqualmie Pass stays completely in the form of liquid until our system comes through heading into Sunday. And then that's when we really start to see things picking up just a bit more in terms of mountain snow. Now, early Sunday morning, there's not much rain at all around. We're actually going to keep things fairly dry. And for areas near and south of more of, I would say, I-90, you'll have a better chance of seeing that rain as we go on into Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. But definitely seeing the highest chances as you head farther south, closer to Thurston County and on across the southern part of the state, and getting some of that snow, too, to pop up here across parts of the mountains at that point. And then maybe keeping a few lingering showers as we head on into Monday. Now, let's talk totals for rain. Most of this falling on the day on Saturday, anywhere between about a half an inch to an inch for most spots, closer to Puget Sound and along the I-5 corridor. It's out towards the coast where we could see some of those higher totals on the way for us, between about an inch, inch and a half, maybe even some higher totals there. Snow levels coming down over the weekend. Sunday, we're back down to about 4,500 feet, and then we're near and around pass level for Monday through Thursday, and all we need is just to get some of those systems to track on through. Now, there's not going to be a ton of heavy moisture. We'll get our system on Sunday, which will be more focused farther south across the southern part of the state and heading through Oregon. That's definitely going to help with putting down some of the snow across the Oregon Cascades and a little bit here for parts of the Washington Cascades as well. That will make its way inland across interior parts of the Northwest and throughout more of the Rockies. For us, lingering showers in the lowlands throughout the day on Monday, and then seeing quite a bit more of them heading on into the latter part of next work week. You can see Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to keep a lot of that shower activity generally off to the north. So if you're up near more the Canadian border at that point, you'll see a better chance, but it's not going to be until more of Thursday evening, Thursday night before we start to see those higher chances finding their way back on through the area and keeping things just a bit more active at that time. Amounts? We're going to see anywhere between about a half a foot to a foot of snow. Again, not really seeing big totals as of yet, but the next 3 to 4 to 5 days is looking like that is going to be the case. All right, your forecast as we head on into early Saturday morning. Lows dropping down generally into more the low to mid 40s, and then highs tomorrow are going to find their way into more of the low to mid 50s for Saturday afternoon. And then here's your forecast. Next 7-day stretch, expect to see more of those days that will be quite a bit wet, and expect to see those cooler temperatures with us too, with highs generally around the low 50s, which is pretty close to where they typically be for this time of the year. All right, well, I hope everybody has a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Cheer real loud for those Seahawks. Let's go Hawks, and we'll talk to you soon.
And welcome back to The Week. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson is pumping the brakes on a so-called millionaire's tax aimed at the state's wealthiest people. Democrats are considering a 9.9% income tax on annual households earning above $1 million. King 5's Maddie White explains why the governor is saying not so fast.
Hi, I'm Jeff Bezos.
Remember when crosswalk buttons got hacked in Seattle to sound like Amazon founder Jeff Bezos?
You know, please don't tax the rich. Otherwise, all the other billionaires will move to Florida, too.
The voice was made with AI, and passerbys said it was clearly sarcastic.
I saw the immediate irony in it. It was pretty funny.
Pranksters were trying to send a message to tax the rich.
And then normal people could afford to live here again.
Jeffrey Bezos. And it's this same sentiment Democrats are trying to capitalize on. That's according to former Washington State Senator Reuven Carlyle.
The Democrats are arguing that the public's appetite for this type of taxation system has really changed in the last few years.
Bill's supporters say the tax would raise more than $3 billion a year. The bill would also cut some taxes, like sales tax for personal hygiene products. But opponents argue it could push wealthy residents and big employers out of our state.
If it's just additional dollars for state government to spend additional money, I think it's harder for people to see some of the benefits of that.
Governor Bob Ferguson says he'd want changes to the bill. Specifically, more money returned directly to Washingtonians struggling with affordability.
A significant percentage of these revenues must go back into the pocket of Washingtonians. The current proposal is not close to achieving that important objective.
A labor union representing Boeing engineers says it wants answers from the company after learning engineering jobs would be moving from the Pacific Northwest to South Carolina. King 5's Sebastian Robertson spoke with union officials who say the move came as a surprise to both them and their members.
Boeing is not denying reports by employees that engineering jobs on the 787 aircraft will move from Everett to South Carolina, though the company is not elaborating either.
I mean, are there still going to be jobs for them here, or are they going to be laid off?
SPIA, the union that represents tens of thousands of the company's engineers and technical workers, says they're floored by the news, despite having regular meetings with company representatives as required by their contract.
The employer does have the right to assign work. However, we do have a contractual right to get heads up that change is coming, and so that we can take steps to mitigate the impact on our people. In this case, what we're asking Boeing to do is just guarantee that nobody's going to get laid off. And Boeing so far has been unwilling to do that.
That friction has played out before. More than 30,000 Boeing machinists walked off the job in late 2024, halting aircraft production for weeks, costing the company millions each day. This go-around, Boeing maintains it's continuing to hire engineers in Puget Sound, adding the staff will be co-located with the programs they support to ensure collaboration and support next to the airplane. For the union that represents them, many questions still remain.
What's the timeline? Which skill codes are moving? What happens if people don't want to make the move cross-country? And so far, we haven't got any really answers at all from Boeing.
In Pierce County, a multi-year investigation has led to a business owner facing felony charges for allegedly trafficking large amounts of clothes stolen from Lululemon. Investigators say the operation generated hundreds of thousands of dollars, all while operating in plain sight. Pierce County Bureau Chief Connor Board reports from University Place with what we're learning.
It was very clear that this was an illegal operation of Lululemon product.
Investigators say more than $100,000 of stolen Lululemon items were seized from a small University Place business, Nulu and More. It's a loft rented out inside a jewelry store.
This business was getting away with it for quite a while, and they were caught pretty much with a full store of stolen product.
Back in 2023, Lululemon investigators worked with Homeland Security and found evidence the business was selling hundreds, if not thousands, of stolen Lululemon items. The store owner, Mara Carissimo, told them she was buying them from an unknown Romanian source online. She got a verbal warning, but then just a year later, they found evidence she was allegedly selling stolen items again. That's when they contacted the Pierce County Sheriff's Office.
But essentially, all the clothing had tags on them, and the tags are used to track the items that are coming off of shipments and whatnot. And all the clothes in this Lululemon shop, the tags were coming back stolen.
Multiple search warrants have been served at the business. Investigators believe many of the items were likely stolen in cargo thefts around the world. The store is still open. I went inside today to talk to the owner, who is out on her own recognizance. She had no comment.
All the clothing and products they were receiving was stolen. Now, where that came from, that's another investigation that I'm sure will be continuing on.
Court documents reveal investigators found over a 9-month period the owner accumulated almost $1 million in Venmo alone, and the majority of transactions were for what appeared to be Lululemon items.
I mean, this is a very, very large case of pretty much black market trafficking of high-end product.
And Super Bowl 60 is nearly upon us. The stage is set for a rematch between our Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. We have crews in Santa Clara and San Francisco who have brought non-stop live coverage all week leading up to the big game. Drew Mickelson caught up with some 12s invading 49er Nation.
History is alive in San Francisco, a city where they like celebrating the past.
It's a beautiful piece of the world, but doesn't compare to Seattle now.
Kieran and Jennifer can't afford Super Bowl tickets.
Go Hawks!
But they flew down from Seattle this week just to enjoy the sights, the hype, and the rivalry.
We went in to get a latte earlier on this morning, and the lady said, I don't think I can serve you. She looked at us and then she laughed and she said, what are you having?
It hurts to see Seattle here. Sorry about you guys, Seattle, but it hurts to see them on our field, and it's really going to hurt if they win to celebrate on our field.
Despite their recent playoff elimination to the Hawks,
Go Seahawks! Go Seahawks!
Niners! 49er fans are everywhere here.
Go Hawks! What can you say?
The ones we've seen have not been angry or mean, even to the 12s who drove down in their shiny sports cars.
Beast mode!
Or Olympia's Joey Goodwin, who got a souvenir beer stein engraved with a bold prediction.
Hawks, SBLX champs. Super Bowl champs. The game is just a formality.
Are you superstitious at all? Because some Hawks fans are going to be saying, Joey, dude.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's a done deal.
We were here since August 5th, 1962.
Talk about history. Kevin Chan's family opened the Golden Gate Fortune Cookie Factory more than 60 years ago. They hand make thousands of cookies a day.
Not just the taste, it's about love.
He has nothing but love for the Seahawks on Sunday.
I'm sure they're going to blow it up because they're hungry. The Seahawks are hungry.
So despite the recent history, it appears this host city is ready to be gracious, willing to move on when it comes to the Hawks.
They are, of course, heartbroken, and so we have to be a little bit sensitive to the fact that it is their area. They had visions of them making it. It would have been a great experience for them.
Thanks for your time. We hope you enjoyed a look at the biggest stories of the week.